If a convicted sex offender wanted to start a business that caters to kids, you might think there'd be a problem with that. But the state of Ohio has no law on the books preventing offenders from owning things like candy stores, roller rinks, a dance studio, or a cheerleading business. In our latest 21 News Watchdog Report, our Janet Rogers investigates why that is and whether such a law is needed.
With the pandemic going on and budgets tight, the shop that sells candy and snacks at a reduced price with its red umbrellas and picnic tables out front, called Mr. Second Snack Shack, looked enticing.
I mean, it's a place for children. I mean, there was some toys, some stuffed animals, candy, ice cream.
Mindy Jenkins and others describe Ashby Brenneman, the shop owner, as quiet and polite.
He looks like a sweet old man.
Tipped off Brenneman is not what he appears to be, Mindy did a Google search on the sweet-looking older man.
Was horrible.
What Mindy found, and we confirmed with the New York Division of Criminal Justice Services, is that 72-year-old Ashby Brenneman Jr. is classified as a Tier 3 sexually violent offender. Tier 3 is defined as someone who could pose a threat to the community and is at risk to reoffend. Brenneman must register with the sheriff's office where he lives every 90 days for life. In 1992, a judge in New York sentenced then-Pastor Brenneman up to 7 years in prison for sexually abusing and sodomizing a 12-year-old boy while at a friend's home as he recruited boys for his church camp. In 1991, a court in Pennsylvania found Brenneman sexually abused 6 boys between the ages of 7 and 14 at a Baptist youth camp. He was sentenced from 7 to 15 years in prison. During our investigation, we found not just one, but a second registered sex offender working at the snack shop. The New York Division of Criminal Justice Services classifies 53-year-old Christopher June as a sexually violent offender after a court found June guilty of sexually abusing a 5-year-old boy in 2004. June must register his address with the sheriff's office where he lives every 6 months for 23 years. He's designated Tier 2 at medium risk to reoffend. Jenkins was so alarmed, she contacted the Salem Police Department, but was told there was nothing police could do. We checked with the Salem Police Department, the Columbiana County Sheriff's Department, and the Ohio Attorney General's office, who all tell me Ashby Brenneman is not breaking any laws by opening up a snack shop. And without laws that put work restrictions in place, registered sex offenders are free to open a snack shop, a toy store, or a gym, and become your child's cheer or gymnastics coach. In most states, there are some laws in place that ban sex offenders from certain professions, such as teaching or being a bus driver. But in Ohio and many states, there are few occupational restrictions to prohibit a child sex offender from working at or owning and operating a child or teen-friendly business. In 2019, Indiana changed its laws and imposed some work restrictions after an Indianapolis TV station exposed a registered sex offender could legally offer and provide babysitting services. In 2015, Pennsylvania strengthened work restrictions and mandatory reporting laws after the Jerry Sandusky sexual abuse scandal. And in 2010, Georgia passed a law that keeps convicted child sex offenders from working with or volunteering at child and teen-centered businesses and organizations. Not willing to wait for a lengthy process to change the law, Jenkins posted public information on an invitation-only community social media site. The message was shared and shared again. Soon, there was little to no business at Mr. Second Snack Shop. The day after we started investigating, Brenneman closed his shop. We've reached out to Ashby Brenneman and Christopher June for an interview or comment, but have had no response. Now, many people we talk with in Salem and Columbiana County want the state's laws reviewed and enhanced to help protect children.
To allow a sex offender who has multiple times reoffended to own a candy store, snacks, cookies store is absolutely crazy, and that puts our children at risk.
State Representative Al Catrona, who sits on the Criminal Justice Committee, says he'll sponsor legislation to close the loopholes. So in Ohio, it's not so easy for registered sex offenders to have unrestricted access to vulnerable kids and teens.
So I'm actually working with my legislative aide, and him and I are both drafting and creating some form of legislation that would address this issue and address these shortcomings.
With our WFMJ Watchdog Report, I'm Janet Rogers.
Janet, thank you. In the meantime, State Representative Catrona thanked us for calling this issue to his attention and stressed that if lawmakers don't know about a problem, it can't get fixed. We will, of course, be following the legislative process in the new year and keep you posted on progress in changing Ohio laws.